All right, up first we have Aries rising and sun. So this eclipse that's happening on the 8th is taking place in your first house if this is your rising sign or whatever house your sun falls in. So for you guys, one of the things that I'm getting with the cards and with the astrology is that this is obviously a big eclipse because it's happening in the area of yourself. And if this is going to be especially strong if you have Aries rising, the rising sign is really how we meet the world and how the world perceives us. And this eclipse is really going to draw the mask away. So if there have been things that you have been hiding behind or that you have suppressed or that people in your life have suppressed and there hasn't been full transparency or full self-expression, I'm seeing that this eclipse is going to kind of look at those hindered parts and help you peel off those layers and reveal the truth of yourself, express the fullest version of yourself, or become aware of the truth around a situation or a person or something else in your life that maybe has been, again, suppressed or hindered or not fully shown in some kind of way. So I think the reason for that is because this eclipse is conjunct Chiron exactly. And Chiron tends to bring up where we hold our wounding. And with it being in your sign, it's really going to point out and make obvious kind of where you've maybe held back because of that wounding, or where you maybe have performed in some way, or maybe you have had certain fears around something coming true because of that wounding. And all that is going to kind of make you face that at the time of this eclipse. And remember, eclipse energies really last 6 months. So you could have these themes coming up now, but they will really come full circle within the 6-month period. So another card that I got was this large intestine. And this is a lot about releasing things. So releasing the projects, the relationships, the ideas, the beliefs, the habits that are really not suiting us, and processing things, assimilating things that need to be processed, kind of taking the nutrients out of our lives and then releasing the things that are not helpful for our lives. So I think that there's something to that here because this is a solar eclipse, which is a new moon. So we're gaining a lot out of this experience. We're able to assimilate, again, kind of the health and the growth and the personal self-reflection on maybe some lifestyle changes or some bigger life changes, relationship changes that we want to make. We're becoming aware of what we want to do to become stronger, fortify ourselves, maybe change our appearance or change up our health routine or relationships, because this is the first seventh house axis. But it could also, besides adding those things, it's also about eliminating what's not working. So it's about kind of reinforcing the good habits and removing some of the bad ones or the bad situations in our lives. And that's especially true because the ruler of this eclipse, Mars, is in Pisces in the 12th house and conjunct Saturn. All of these things kind of indicate this release, these endings, sometimes a loss to some degree, or a revelation of things that have been hidden, that have been in our subconscious, or that have been secretive in our lives somehow. So you guys could have things kind of, again, boil up to the surface or bubble up to the surface so that you are aware of what's really happening here. And again, I feel like this is really going to speak for many of you around relationships, because this Mars-Saturn conjunction makes a quincunx to the South Node in your 7th house. So there's something about kind of having full clarity with yourself that is going to affect your relationships. So let's say you've been not treating your body the best and you've been kind of having these bad habits. Maybe that has affected your relationship and then you with yourself, and then of course that then permeates to other relationships. That could come to the surface around this eclipse and you realize, I really need to change this habit, and I'm seeing how this is negatively affecting my connection with my partner. Maybe I'm less intimate because I don't feel secure in my body, and that's likely not the case for many Aries. It would depend on your chart, but Aries tends to be a much more active sign. Or it could be that there's some kind of truth or revelation happening within the relationship itself that is affecting the trajectory of the relationship. Some realizations about things that you have maybe had fears around, or that you have had suppression around, kind of acknowledging something. Maybe it's like, oh no, everything is fine, everything is fine. And then it catches up with you at this eclipse where it's just we can't help but be truthful or honest or realistic when we have an eclipse that the ruler, Mars, is sitting next to Saturn. I mean, we're just kind of facing the reality of the situation. And this is an eclipse that's really trying to help you embody more of your Aries energy, embody more of this kind of youthfulness, this playfulness, really getting all the juice out of life. And that's only going to really be possible if you're unafraid, if you're uninhibited, if you're fully expressing yourself. And a lot of around this eclipse is addressing where we have those blocks, where we have those walls, and maybe creating bridges, things that we can do to kind of get over it to the other side of what we want or to where we want to go. And again, I think that a lot of this can be interpreted from the fact that this eclipse is with Chiron, which does kind of stem from our childhood wounding. And that's something that I see here in particular when I pull the Six of Cups next to the Hangman. I feel like there's something about often our childhood wounding that can keep us maybe stuck a little bit, stuck in a pattern, stuck in a habit, not moving forward on something, afraid to say yes or say no, afraid to walk away or move forward and commit. There's this sense of like, yeah, just like stagnation or feeling uncertain about our own decisions. And a lot of that coming from childhood wounding with this Chiron and Aries. So I did talk about what Chiron and Aries represents. So if you haven't checked out the overview video, I would definitely watch that because this is such a significant eclipse for you. But I think that that's going to be something worth looking into even on your own. Does it aspect anything in my chart? If you have anything around 19 degrees of Aries, that's going to impact you on a much more personal level. I think that you guys, with the Devil and the Chariot card, I feel like it's really going to serve you to become aware of, again, the things that we have suppressed or these ways. The Devil card is often a card of self-sabotage, and we can self-sabotage in so many ways. We can overwork ourselves, we can stay up too late, we can stay too long in the wrong relationship because it feels good, but we don't see that working long term. There's a sense of doing what feels good in the moment, but maybe not serving us in the long run. And so I really feel like we can become attached to those behaviors, those people, those habits, whatever it is. We can become very, attached to it. And I think that this eclipse is going to bring up some of those attachments with Mars being the ruler of the eclipse in the 12th. It's really going to highlight where it could be helpful to let go. It could be helpful to become even less identified with something, because I think a lot of the times with an eclipse in the first house, it is like a shakeup around your sense of identity. So let's say you've been dating somebody for 7 years and then you break up. You're not just leaving the relationship, you're shifting your identity from this person's partner or a person in a relationship, even this kind of person to this kind of person. And I think that like naturally with age, our identities, our priorities, our values, things shift over time. And this, I think, is one of those bigger moments in life with an eclipse in your first house where you're checking in with yourself and you're asking, does my current version of my identity make the most sense for me? Do I need to make some shifts to the way I see myself and the things that I have become attached to as a form of my identity? Like, let's say, again, I've been vegan for 10 years. This is me asking myself, do I want to still see myself as a vegan? Do I still identify with that? Is that in my best interest? Or is that actually hindering me from some certain health goals that I have? And so the level of attachment is going to be examined right now. And once you're able to do that and release some of those attachments because you're thinking in terms of what's best for you long term, Mars conjunct Saturn, in Pisces, releasing attachments, you will move forward a lot faster with this Chariot card. And an Aries eclipse is all about really rapid forward momentum. And so I think that that's very much available to you. But I'm getting multiple cards around like stagnancy and then, movement. And I think that this is very much what you're going to become aware of. Where are there these stagnancies in my life? And then how can I move forward? And I do think that there could be some things that we have to process. One of the things I'm seeing is that Venus and Neptune are conjunct in your first house. Neptune's in your second, but Venus and Neptune are conjunct. And if you haven't watched the overview, again, go watch that. But this kind of planetary combination it's not the easiest because Venus in Aries is a little impulsive. And then with Neptune, we don't really have like the full picture. And so we can be very subjective, very biased, or even idealistic. We can rush into things. We can be reactive to things and not, again, have the full equation. Or we can just be like, oh, this is perfect, and just put so much weight into something that in reality we don't see clearly. So this combination is somewhat difficult around this eclipse, and it is taking place mostly in your first house. So it is more significant for you. And I just saw 1111, so maybe that means something. But this could have to deal with being in your first house, your perception of yourself. Maybe you're not fully seeing yourself totally clearly. And I think it could be beneficial to have outside resources or people that you can talk to help see yourself or the situation with more clarity. That being said, there could be something also going on relationally because this Venus-Neptune aspect is opposite Black Moon Lilith in your 7th house. Black Moon Lilith has a kind of shadowy Plutonian energy to it. And so it's possible for there to be some shadowy things coming up within relationships, either revealed to you or suppressed through this idealized Venus-Neptune energy. And I think that that's ultimately going to come to the surface to some degree because I did pull the 3 of Swords. This might not be true for everybody if this is not, aspecting your chart personally. This isn't necessarily like a planet that's attached to the sun and moon, so it's not necessarily like really potent with the eclipse itself. But if this is aspecting your birth chart and this Venus-Neptune energy, let me pull it up. So Venus is at just 4 degrees and Neptune's at 28 Pisces. Black Moon Lilith, this is in Aries. And then Black Moon Lilith is at 2 Libra. So if you have planets around there, it could be that you have some kind of truth revealed to you that does feel like a loss to some degree, or that does hurt your heart to some degree with this 3 of Swords. Again, shadowy things could come up that feel just uncomfortable. Shadowy things like betrayal or, deception of some sort, or feeling compared to somebody, feeling insecure, feeling not good enough, feeling kind of judged by society or judged by certain people. There's a lot of ways that this can manifest. But I think that if this does come up for some of you, again, I think it's going to be probably deeply uncomfortable. But I also feel like it's by addressing this thing truthfully that we're able to come into a new emotional beginning and be much more confident. So if there is something going on behind the scenes, if there is stuff that you need to let go of, if there is stuff that's shadowy that we've been pushing down, like this is the eclipse in which it's time to face our truth and face these aspects of either ourself or our relationships, or even just some element of our life honestly and directly. And from that place, we have this new emotional beginning that helps us gain true confidence, because Chiron in Aries, which is again conjunct this eclipse, is about lacking confidence. It's about having a wound around our will or our identity, our ability to really take life by the horns and move things forward. And if we don't believe in ourselves, it's hard to really get things moving. And I think that sometimes when we're, again, ignoring things or acting like everything's fine or pushing things down or just not addressing things or something along those lines, or idealizing something, building something up in our head, it's like it's hard to really gain a lot of momentum in that phase, because we're not expressing our total selves, or we're not facing the total reality, and things can kind of come and undermine our progress, undermine our confidence, because we haven't been addressing the truth all along. So yeah, that's kind of the vibe of what I'm getting for this eclipse for you. I just feel like it's a lot about coming to the fullest expression of ourselves and of reality, and addressing all those things, being willing to take off the mask, and that will help and release certain things from our life that we once we look at them, where we realize are not in alignment with us. And then once we do that, it's like we have this kind of uninhibited growth and can gain real confidence and strength in order to move forward towards what we really desire, because we're being very truthful to ourselves about what that actually is. So I hope that this makes sense. I would love to hear from you if this does make sense for you, or if you have any other interpretations of this eclipse. I would love to hear from you down below in the comments. I read all of your comments, even if I am not responding or slow to respond. They really do lift up my day. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and if you want a reading from me, you can check it out in the description box down below. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.